Welcome if you dare. You've stepped into a world where shadows whisper, where every creak in the floor holds a secret. And tonight, you're about to hear a story that will haunt your dreams. Before we begin, make sure you're not alone, or you're ready to uncover what really happened in today's story. Don't forget to subscribe if you're brave enough, because what lurks in this channel is far more terrifying. Let's begin. Deep in the heart of Blackwell Hollow, where the tall pines whispered secrets to the moon, there was a legend that spoke of a malevolent curse lurking amid the tangled briars and ancient stones. It was an old story, as old as the woods themselves, and most who heard it dismissed it as fairy tales, designed to keep children from wandering too far from home. But there were those who believed, for they had seen the shadows move and heard the cold wind howl in a voice not their own. One such believer was Grandma Elara, known throughout the village for her affinity with nature and her knack for concocting remedies from the forest's bounty. Her hands, gnarled as the oak trees under which she toiled, could bring forth elixirs that soothed an ache or healed a wound. Despite her reputation, even she knew better than to wander too deeply into the unyielding heart of the woods. That is, until the day the fever came. It started with Rosie's cough, a small worry that quickly spiraled into something much graver. Her granddaughter, all golden curls and laughter until she turned frail and pale, sapped by unseen hands. None of Elara's drafts nor whispered prayers to the night sky seemed effective, and so, with desperation jangling in her heart like a house full of chains, Grandma Elara ventured beyond the marked paths. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in bruised purples and ominous reds, Elara donned her shawl. "I'll be back before you know it," she promised Rosie, brushing a tender hand across the girl's fevered forehead, though her own heart questioned the truth of those words. The journey was cloaked in silence, broken only by the crunch of dry leaves underfoot and the distant call of an owl. The deeper Elara ventured, the more the woods seemed to press in around her, as though disallowing an escape should her courage fail. It was there, in a clearing where moonlight pooled like silver water, that she met her fate. Against the gnarled roots of an enormous oak sat a pedestal of stone, its surface chiseling away through centuries, marking its age. On its surface lay various herbs. Some Elara recognized, others she knew only from sketchy accounts and forgotten lore. But it was the centerpiece, a dark grimoire bound in an indeterminate leather, that drew her in. The book seemed alive, the cover pulsating slightly as if breathing. A warning prickled her spine, but necessity outweighed caution. With trembling hands, Elara flipped the cover open. Dust spiraling up like spectral moths, strange symbols danced across the page, shifting and reconfiguring themselves into legibility through some arcane trick of the light. Before she could grasp the implications, the book emitted a pulse, a deep thrumming resonance that surged through her fingertips and spread through her bones. She staggered back, a scream caught in her throat as the clearing swirled around her, the rigid silhouettes of trees melting into grotesque forms. Little did she know, the curse had already taken root. The return trek was a blur. The forest watched her. Every creak of a branch and flutter of leaves whispered secrets that prickled her skin. When she re-emerged into the edges of her garden, Elara did not speak of her encounter, not even as the herbs she had gathered brought her granddaughter back from the edge of oblivion. Days passed into weeks, but the woods were never far from Elara's thoughts. After that night, she never wandered far from her cottage, yet strange occurrences followed her. Shadows lengthened and shortened in defiance of the sun's dictates. Animals avoided her home, and windows frosted over with designs reminiscent of the cryptic symbols she had glimpsed in time. Elara confided in her friend, old Lenore, who had long since embraced the idea that not everything could be interpreted by rational sense alone. You bear the wood's mark, Lenore told her one evening, their town's church bell ringing, hollow in the distance. There's naught to do but sever the bond or let it consume both you and what you hold dear. The decision was made, a final trek into the woods, this time to put an end to what she had unwittingly unleashed. Armed with sage and courage, bolstered by necessity, Alara retraced her steps into the heart of the shadow territory. The clearing welcomed her with an eerie familiarity, the oak's roots still cradling the stone pedestal, like faithful guardians. The book, dark and patient, awaited her return. As she stepped into the moon's beam, the air crackled with energy, as though the forest itself held its breath. Alara placed the sage on the stone, igniting its embers with a whispered prayer. The forest echoed with the sound of rustling leaves, and above it, an otherworldly hum that resonated from the book. She laid her hands upon the cover, this time not flinching as the pulse surged through her, strengthening her resolve. "I release you," she intoned. The words drawn from somewhere beyond herself. "Return to your rest, Ancient One, and leave my can be." The grimoire shuddered, its pages flipping furiously in a frenzy of wind. The pulse within her ebbed away, leaving only warmth and the deep sigh of the woods exhaling. As the last of the sage smoldered out, the atmosphere shifted. The temperature rose, the shadows blinked and withdrew, and the forest, waking from a dream, finally seemed like home. When Alara returned, her heart thudding with exhaustion yet peaceful in its beat, she sensed a change. The world, ever so slightly, had shifted back into balance. Rosie's laughter once more tinkled through the cottage like a melody, and no longer did shadows crowd her window. And so, Alara sat beside her granddaughter that eve, no longer burdened by unspoken curses. They shared tales of the stars and their harmless traveler's charms, the tale of a curse snaking its way into myth, then memory, and finally, a lesson that both were content to never test again. As the days passed, Alara noticed a change within herself. She felt a newfound connection to the forest, as if the ancient magic that dwelled within the trees and stones had awakened a part of her that she never knew existed. The woods, once a place of mystery and fear, now seemed like a sanctuary, a place where she could tap into the primal forces that governed the world. Rosie, too, seemed to be affected by the events that had transpired. Her laughter returned, and her health began to improve. But there was a subtle change in her demeanor, a quiet awareness that seemed to hint at a deeper understanding of the world around her. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Alara decided to take Rosie on a walk through the forest. The air was crisp, and the trees cast long shadows across the ground. As they walked, Alara pointed out the different plants and animals that lived in the woods, teaching Rosie about the delicate balance of nature. As they walked deeper into the forest, Alara began to sense that they were being watched. She could feel eyes upon them, and the air seemed to vibrate with an otherworldly energy. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the trees. It was old Lenore, her eyes gleaming with a knowing light. "You've been changed by the woods, Alara," she said, her voice low and mysterious. "The curse has left its mark, but it's also given you a gift. You have the power to communicate with the forest, to hear its secrets and tap into its magic." Alara was taken aback, but as she looked around, she realized that she could indeed sense the forest in a way she never had before. She could feel the pulse of the trees, the rhythm of the streams, and the whispers of the wind. "What does it mean?" Rosie asked, her eyes wide with wonder. "It means that Alara has a special role to play in the world," old Lenore replied. "She has the power to heal the forest, to bring balance to the natural world. But it also means that she will be targeted by those who seek to exploit the forest's power for their own gain." Alara knew that she had to be careful, that she had to learn how to harness her newfound powers and protect herself and those she loved. She looked at Rosie and knew that she would do whatever it took to keep her granddaughter safe. Together, they would face the challenges that lay ahead, using the power of the forest to guide them. And as they walked back to their cottage, the trees seemed to loom over them, their branches whispering secrets in the wind died as the days went by. Elara found herself growing more attuned to the forest's rhythms and secrets. She could sense the subtle changes in the environment, the way the trees seemed to lean in when she approached, and the soft rustling of leaves that seemed to carry whispers. Rosie, too, seemed to be developing a deeper connection to the natural world, and Elara couldn't help but wonder if the events of the past few weeks had awakened a part of her granddaughter's psyche that had long been dormant. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm orange glow over the forest, Elara and Rosie sat on the porch of their cottage, watching the stars begin to twinkle in the night sky. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers, and the sound of crickets provided a soothing background hum. Elara, I've been having the most peculiar dreams, Rosie said, her voice barely above a whisper. I dream of the forest, of running through the trees and feeling the wind in my hair. It's as if I'm a part of the forest, connected to every tree and every creature. Elara's eyes narrowed, her mind racing with the implications. Tell me more, she said, her voice gentle but insistent. Rosie closed her eyes, and a small smile played on her lips. I feel like I'm being called to something, like the forest is trying to tell me something, but I don't know what it means. Elara's thoughts turned to the ancient magic that dwelled within the forest. She knew that the woods were a place of great power, a place where the veil between the worlds was thin. It was possible that Rosie was tapping into that power, that she was being called to play a role in the forest's delicate balance. I think you might be right, Elara said, her voice filled with a sense of wonder. The forest is a mysterious place, full of secrets and surprises. Maybe it's trying to tell you something. Maybe it's calling you to a special purpose. Rosie's eyes snapped open, and she looked at Elara with a sense of excitement. Do you think so? She asked, her voice filled with hope. Elara nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. I do, she said, and I think we should listen to what the forest is trying to tell us. Let's go on a journey, Rosie, a journey into the heart of the woods. We'll see what secrets we can uncover and what mysteries we can solve. Rosie's face lit up with excitement, and Elara knew that she had made the right decision. Together, they would venture into the unknown, guided by the whispers of the forest and the power of their own hearts. And so, the journey began. A journey that would take them deep into the heart of the woods and into the very depths of their own souls. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the trees grew taller and the path grew narrower. Elara and Rosie walked in silence, their footsteps quiet on the soft earth. The air was filled with the scent of wild flowers, and the sound of birdsong echoed through the trees. Suddenly, Rosie stopped and looked up at Elara. Grandma, I feel it again, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The forest is trying to tell me something. Elara's eyes narrowed, her senses on high alert. What is it saying? She asked, her voice low and gentle. Rosie closed her eyes, her face tilted upwards. I don't know, she said, but it's like the forest is showing me a memory of something that happened a long time ago. Elara's curiosity was piqued. Tell me more, she said, her voice filled with interest. Rosie's eyes snapped open, and she looked at Elara with a sense of wonder. I see a village, she said, a village surrounded by trees. And I see people who are living in harmony with the forest. They're harvesting the trees, but they're also planting new ones. They're living in balance with nature. Elara's eyes widened in amazement. That's incredible, she said. It sounds like you're tapping into the forest's collective memory. Rosie nodded, her face filled with excitement. I think so, she said. And I think there's more. I think the forest is trying to show me something important. Elara's senses were on high alert. She knew that the forest was a place of great power, and that Rosie's connection to it was growing stronger by the minute. She also knew that they had to be careful, that they had to respect the forest's power and its secrets. What do you think it's trying to show you? Elara asked, her voice gentle and encouraging. Rosie's eyes closed again, and she took a deep breath. I think it's trying to show me the heart of the forest, she said, the place where the ancient magic resides. Elara's heart skipped a beat. She knew that the heart of the forest was a place of great power, a place where the ancient magic was strongest. She also knew that it was a place of great danger, a place where only those with the purest of intentions and the strongest of wills could survive. Are you ready to see it? Elara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Rosie nodded, her face set with determination. I'm ready, she said. And with that, they continued on their journey, deeper into the heart of the forest, and closer to the secrets that lay within. As they journeyed deeper into the forest, the trees grew taller and the air grew thick with an otherworldly energy. Elara could feel the magic pulsating through the trees, and she knew that they were getting close to the heart of the forest. Suddenly, the trees parted, and a clearing appeared before them. In the center of the clearing stood an enormous tree, its trunk twisted and gnarled with age. The tree seemed to glow with an inner light, and Elara could feel its power radiating towards her. Rosie gasped, her eyes wide with wonder. This is it, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. This is the heart of the forest. Elara nodded, her eyes fixed on the tree. Yes, she said, this is the place where the ancient magic resides. As they approached the tree, Elara could feel the magic growing stronger. It was as if the tree was awakening, responding to their presence. Rosie reached out a hand and Elara caught her arm, holding her back. Wait, she said, we don't know what we're dealing with here. But Rosie shook her head. I think I do, she said. I think the forest is trying to tell me something. And with that, Rosie reached out and touched the tree. As soon as she did, the tree began to glow with an intense, pulsing light. Elara felt a surge of energy, and she knew that Rosie was being initiated into the secrets of the forest. The light grew brighter, and Elara felt herself being drawn into its power. She closed her eyes, letting the magic wash over her. When she opened them again, she saw that Rosie was standing in front of the tree, her eyes closed, her face filled with a sense of wonder. What did you see? Elara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Rosie's eyes opened, and she looked at Elara with a sense of awe. I saw the past, she said. I saw the future. I saw the secrets of the forest. Elara's eyes widened in amazement. What secrets? She asked, her voice filled with curiosity. Rosie smiled, her face filled with a sense of wonder. The secrets of life and death, she said. The secrets of magic and power. The secrets of the forest. And the secrets of ourselves. And with that, Rosie turned and walked away, leaving Elara to ponder the mysteries of the forest and the secrets that lay within. After discovering the secrets of the forest, Rosie began to explore her newfound abilities. She could communicate with the living creatures in the forest and sense the energy flowing from the earth. Elara watched Rosie with pride and interest, seeing how her abilities were developing. She knew that Rosie had special powers and could connect with the forest in a unique way. One day, Elara received a warning from a friend in the forest. There was a danger threatening the forest, and Rosie was also at risk. Elara wasn't sure what the danger was, but she knew she had to protect Rosie at all costs. Elara started taking necessary measures to protect Rosie and the forest. She gathered herbs and natural materials that could help her defend herself and began teaching Rosie how to use her new abilities. Rosie was eager to learn everything she could about her new powers. She listened intently to Elara and practiced using her abilities diligently. She knew there was a threat to the forest and was ready to do everything she could to protect it. As time passed, Rosie became more confident in her abilities. She could communicate with the living creatures in the forest more effectively and sense the energy flowing from the earth in new ways. One day, Rosie faced the danger that threatened the forest. A mysterious creature was attacking the forest, threatening to destroy everything. Rosie was ready to face this danger and used everything she had learned from Elara to defend the forest. Thanks to her new abilities and training, Rosie was able to defeat the mysterious creature and protect the forest. Elara was proud of her, and Rosie felt confident in her abilities. From then on, Rosie considered herself a guardian of the forest and was ready to do everything she could to protect it. She knew there would be challenges ahead, but she was ready to face them. As the sun set over the forest, Rosie stood tall, feeling a sense of pride and responsibility. She knew she had a special role to play in protecting the forest and its inhabitants, and she was ready to face whatever challenges came her way. The forest was safe, and Rosie had saved it. She had discovered her true potential and was now a powerful guardian of the forest. And as she walked back to her home, she knew that she would always be ready to defend the forest and its secrets.